Well, hey, good day to you. This is Todd. I am a regular dude walking in the Word. Hey, I want to thank you for joining me, especially if you joined me yesterday and you're like, "Oh man, that was a rough session we did." Wait till you get to today. Okay, we talked about wives yesterday in Colossians 3:18. Today we're talking about husbands, and that's the next verse. Okay, and actually, it sounds like when you read 3:18, you're like, oh, the wife's got to be submissive to their husband, and then you'd think, oh yeah, the husband's got it easy. Oh no, it's not that way. Okay, there's actually more laid upon the husbands. Okay, if the wife is going to be submissive to the husband, there's a lot that the husband needs to be doing. Okay, so this is taken here from Colossians 3:19, and again, as I said yesterday, this is the practical section of Colossians, these last two chapters. If you're not following the first two chapters of the theology and doctrine of God, then what we say here it doesn't make sense, and it's going to be hard for you to follow. You have to have that basis of being a Christian and following the Lord and loving the Lord in order for this to flow through. If you're not a Christian, what happens here, it like rubs you the wrong way, and it's you'd be really submissive you'd be really not wanting to submit to your husband because you're both heathen. Okay, so and then here today, it's hard to love your wife if you're not loving the Lord. All right, so let's read here today. This is taken from Colossians chapter 3, verse 19. Okay, it says this: husbands, love your wives, and do not be harsh with them. Okay, and when it says wives, it's talking about you got a bunch of husbands in the church and each of them has a wife. It doesn't mean here that Paul is endorsing polygamy and it's saying, husband, love all your wives, all 10 of them or something. That's not what he's getting at. But husbands, there's two things that you're supposed to do. Okay, yesterday it was just one thing. Wives, just be submissive to your husband. So the two things are, husbands, love your wives. Okay, if you're loving your wives, and it also says in another place, as Christ loved the church. So if you're loving your wife as Christ loved the church, that's a whole different story there. Okay, Christ loved the church so much that he gave up his life. Okay, and a lot of times men today love their wives as far as like walking out the door or something like that. But to lay down their life for their wife, they're like, oh no, I would never do that. But that's what God has called us to, is to love them so much that we would, give up our lives for them. Okay, so that's the first thing that we've got to be doing. And so it's easier for a wife to be submissive to her husband if he's doing that, if he's loving his wife like that, as much as Christ loved the church. Then she'd be like, oh yeah, I'm glad to submit to a husband like that. But it doesn't end there. It also says, and do not be harsh with them. Okay, that's a hard thing to do, because you'll get in some disagreement and you'll be harsh with them and say, all right, why'd you do that? And you'll have a yelling match or whatever. Okay, but the Bible calls us not to be harsh with them at all. So again, if the husbands are doing these two things, the first thing which is huge, loving your wife, and then not being harsh with them, you do that, it makes it a whole lot easier. The wife would be like, oh, I'm glad to submit to you because of the way you're loving me and the way you're not being harsh with me at all. So all those things tie together. So in order for a marriage to work, the wife needs to be submissive to the husband, but it's just not that. Okay, the husband also needs to be loving the wife and not being harsh, and so it ties together, and then it makes a great marriage when all that is put together. When it's just one, when you have just the wife being submissive and the husband is not loving, it doesn't work. It's like because he's like this, not opening up and stuff, and it doesn't bond together. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense with everything here. So if you want to have a good marriage, wives, be submissive to your husbands, but first the husband needs to love his wife as Christ loved the church, and then also not be harsh with his wife. All right. Hey, thanks for watching. I am just a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue our journey through Colossians. Lord's blessing. I'll see you then.